what does the West doesn't understand? What do they fail to understand when Mark Carney, thinks about reevaluating the relationship with Israel? What does the woke people don't understand about Muslims?
Very challenging question here, just because the woke left, they're so blinded by the way that they've been indoctrinated that anyone who tries to speak to them, they just view us as wrong or bigoted or fascist or whatever the case might be. There will come a time when the extremists are not going to originate in the Middle East. The extremists are going to originate in your countries, in Europe, because you do not know the difference between like a regular Muslim and radical Islam jihad. And because you don't know the difference, you're just going to assume that what they say is the truth, and those extremists are going to breed in those countries. And that's exactly what we're seeing right now. Because when you look at
Especially in
countries like
Europe. We see that in Europe very,
oh,
very strongly.
100%, 100%. I mean, when you look at the UAE and Saudi Arabia, they've banned the Muslim Brotherhood, they've banned Al Jazeera, they've banned, like mass public prayers and demonstrations. You don't see any of that in a lot of the Muslim countries that are modernizing. But you do see that behavior in Europe. You do see that behavior in Canada. That's because all of these extremists have gone away from those countries because they know that they can't operate in Saudi Arabia or the UAE. Instead, they go to Western countries, and then they take advantage of the democracy. They take advantage of the rights and freedoms offered to them in those countries to further advance their political jihad and agenda.
Yeah, and it's very interesting that what we see in Western Europe, like France, England, Germany, we don't see in Eastern Europe. Places like Poland, Hungary, because they don't let Muslims in general, all Muslims. They just don't have Muslim immigration. But those immigrants to Western Europe...
I think it's a little bit more than that. It's not necessarily about whether or not they let in the Muslims. I think it's more about the fact that the countries in Eastern Europe still proud of their national identity, right? So they don't let anyone tell them that it's fascist or racist to be Polish first, or Hungary first, or whatever the case that might be. Whereas in Western Europe, England, for example, France, Germany, other places,
they're in an identity crisis for a long time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And that identity crisis being brought about by the left, especially the woke left, the DEI, multiculturalism, diversity, all that stuff, people lose their identity, and then there's a void, and then that void is now being filled by these like radical Islamists coming in.